sense of your identity of who God is. Because Christ says very clearly that he is the fullness of the Godhead. So we can say God is loving, God is righteous, God is holy, and we can hold to these things. Paul wants us to. But there is something, you guys, that we have to admit. When we're talking about God, we are talking about we're talking about a being that is so other than us, so completely unlike us, and yet Christ comes in his likeness, right? That's a part of the beauty of what Christ does. But there's a lot to this that we're not going to fully grasp, and we have to accept that, I guess is the word. We have to accept that. Now,
faith like a mustard seed, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I
there's
hold
going to be
tightly.
things we just can't wrap our brain around.
That's right.
No matter how much we study or how smart we are. There's going to be things that we're just never going to understand because we don't have God's mind.
Having said that, I would say this, though, Teresa, that he is slowly throughout history, the patriarchs, we come through all that, the temple, the Torah, the law, and finally Christ. He is revealing himself. And I think there's more that we are going to learn. I mean, and particularly if we're trying to grow in him, that we're going to learn. But I think if we're around another 1,000 years, then the Christians, Christians of the future will have some understandings of God that we don't quite have. There will be things that God will continue to work with his people on and about. I think, just simple things, even like, and this is more of an American thing, not such a world thing, but our concept of church, I think, is pretty skewed, quite honestly. And I'm I'm working in the church, and I think that this has been pretty telltale for me, this experience we've gone through, where some people are clamoring so hard for a building. Gee, come on, y'all. We always said that in the past, but now we've had to kind of live it, and it's been hard for a lot of people to live it. Real hard. And even like the worship music, there was some people who made some really strong statements online about stopping of worship music and da-da-da and all this kind of stuff. But, there's nothing in the New Testament that tells us that this is the kind of thing we're supposed to do with worship music and da-da-da-da. And even if we had to at some point, because of this thing, not sing or just sing very softly with these daggum masks on. I hate singing with a mask on, but if we had to, we're no different than those who hid out in the catacombs who had their worship service and very softly singing so that no one would find out about them. And
they were in the catacombs. They probably wish they had a mask.
They probably But this coronavirus has shaken up a lot of things. And I see some different places where things are happening. I know one church where they now have one outdoor service and one indoor service. And they say we're just going to continue always having an outdoor service now early in the morning. Of course, they're in a climate that's a little better than us. But
Southern California, you can do those things.
Yeah. There's a lot for us to learn right now, y'all, about what the church really is and about what it means to be a brother. Am I only a brother because Carl shows up on Sundays and I see him and we worship together and that's it? Or am I brother because we talk to each other on a fairly regular basis and we actually live life together and we're actually involved in helping one another to, and another thing that's happening, I think it's another thing we got to get shaken up on. We spend way too much, it's an imbalance, let me put it this way, we don't spend too much, but it's an imbalance of time for most people spent in Bible study and activities in the church versus serving and witnessing and discipling. There's been for years an imbalance where people would spend hours and hours and hours in Bible classes
But man, they were the best Christians you knew, weren't they?
But you can't get them to
They're
go
in the
down
church
to some
always.
place down here and work with, people who are different than them, trying to help them who don't have anything, and
And then they walk out the building and they won't even let somebody like go in front of them. They're like, as soon as they get in their car, they're ready to
that
haul
restaurant.
off.
I
Or
don't
they
think we can
shortchanged the
say-
server at the restaurant right after church.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But I don't think we can say they, because I think I've done things like that.
Teresa, come on.
I've been guilty.
Come on, don't make this personal. Now I gotta deal
We
with
can't
it.
say they, you guys.
You're right, Teresa. Absolutely. And that, and that's where it's gotta start.
Yeah.
It's gotta start with you.
Change me.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're the problem.
Casting Crowns.
So am I.
Casting Crowns has a song it's gotta start with me.
That's
You know,
right.
all this other stuff out there, it's gotta
Yeah.
start with me.
Well, come on, I'm gonna pull out a real spiritual guy and a real spiritual song, "The Man in the Mirror" by Michael Jackson.
You know, you were talking, Kim, when you were talking about the church and everything, this is ringing inside of me. Why did Jesus come? To change us from the inside out.
Yes.
For there to be a real transformation inside of us, to where we walk and talk as one that is one with the Father.
That's right.
To where there's real life in us, there's real peace in us. Wherever we go, people are like, what is different about this person? You're not caught up in everything else that everybody else is caught up in. And they go through struggles, and they have storms to face, and they encourage people when they're down. You know, like, the cause of Christ was to change us from the inside out so that our life would be fresh and new, and that from us would come wells of living water.
Yes.
It's not about a building, it's not about something. Those things are nice and good, and they draw us together, the good community. But if we don't have that, does that mean that we don't have living water inside anymore? You know, I'm just,
But I hear from a lot of people, it just doesn't feel the same. Well, okay. Well,
I-
it doesn't feel the
I
same.
get up every
It's not the
day.
same.
I get up every day and I make a decision every day that today I'm gonna be courageous.
Yes.
And I'm going to do.
Walk in the Spirit.
I'm gonna live righteous.
Well, you guys, we're out of time. Great class, but here's what's going to happen. Paul goes to he doesn't try to avoid this really big question. He realizes it. It's like the elephant in the room. So is God unrighteous? Is God unloving? Is God unjust? He brings it right to the forefront. Now, unfortunately, what he says doesn't help me too much. In the next verse, he goes back to the Old Testament. So if you got some time this week, go back to when you read verse 15, go back to what he's quoting, okay, and kind of get the big picture. Because remember, whenever Paul quoted, it's not just a single little line, like a snippet. He's referring to what everybody knows of a story, an event that they all know about, or a prophecy, or something of that sort. So we will pick up, but maybe it drives us deeper when we hit these hard questions into what we do put our feet on. And I got to just tell you, it was about 12 years ago that I really went under a massive change in my life, and at which point I said, and I shared with you guys before, I told Lydia, if I come out of this an atheist or an agnostic, will you still stay married to me? And she said she would, but it'd be hard. But when I came back to my faith, I did not come back to the traditions of the faith so much as I came back to the person of Christ. That's what brought me back. When I look at that and I understand that, and that's what I did. And I would say, he says, he is our cornerstone. He is our foundation. So plant your feet firmly on his life and what he said to us. All right, we're going to close in prayer. Thanks, you guys. Pray, Father, that you'll continue